Hi, it's Justin, and I just wanted to come and show a couple of levels that I've been looking at all this week to see how price might react if it gets to these levels. We are getting now to Friday, and there's going to be some end of month balancing probably taking place, so I might not be looking to get into too many trades, but we'll just see what happens if price does reach these levels. The first one I've been looking at is on the euro dollar. If we come out straight to a daily chart and we can see this big swing down, this last swing on the daily, if I just put some fibs on there, for example, from that high to this low, these two sort of extreme levels, the most obvious recent high and most obvious recent low of this swing here. So if we have a look there, and then I'll come back to the 4-hour chart just to see how price came up, tested the 38.2% fib, and it's bounced around there a few times, dropped down. It's now come and broken those highs, and what I'm looking at is I'm just interested to see what might happen when price comes up to this 50% level, because the 50% level is obviously the halfway or the midpoint between this extreme recent high and this extreme recent low, and this 50% is the midpoint between it. So price often tries to revert to some kind of average price and find value, so it's quite possible that price might come up and react off this 50%, which is at 1.1715 area. Okay, so I'm not going to put a trade in to sell here or anything like that, because it could just blast straight through. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to wait and see what happens when price, or if price comes up and tests this 50% level up here and breaks this high and then comes to test this level. It could be a nice place just to look for a quick scalp. You know, there's quite likely to be a bounce of at least 5-10 pips there, possibly more. So it might be a good place for a scalp, but I'm not going to go looking for any scalp trades there just yet. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to monitor this level and see what happens if price comes up into this 1715 area, and then just see how price reacts. Maybe on the 4-hour there might be a big spike and a wick into this level and a rejection, or I might even be looking on the 1-hour to see if there's any sort of bearish engulfing candles or anything like that. But it's just a nice little level just to be looking at, because it's fairly obvious on the charts. It lines up with some old lows over here and some other support levels, so I think there's quite a high chance of getting a rejection off that 50% level. So it's just something that I've got in mind that I'm watching and waiting for price to approach there and see. Okay, and then the other one is also the euro yen pair. This is a pair that I have got a slightly bearish outlook on. Because of some commitment to traders analysis that I do, it's giving me a possibility of a bearish sentiment, but that's not something I'm going to get into detail here in this video, but maybe something I'll go into later in the future. But I was looking at this euro Japanese yen. I already had a slight bearish inclination, and if we go out to the weekly chart here, firstly you see that price came up on the weekly and came up to retest these old highs here that from back in May of this year. Price spiked up on the weekly, and we got a weekly spike up into this level and then a rejection and a bearish close last week. So all week I've been looking at this thinking that it could be a possible bearish signal for a retest and a run back down towards these lows, or at least to retest these old highs in here. So I was looking for a setup. If you're coming down to the daily chart, you see how price has come up to this level here, and then it reversed and retraced down into here. So the level that I was kind of looking at here is around this 133.10. Yeah, and I was gonna just put a trade on there, just risking like 1/4% or 0.25% of my account. I was gonna risk 1/4%, just putting the sell signal in there at the 0.10 area, and then the stop loss my stop loss was going to be up here around the 133.53 level, and I didn't have a take profit just for yet, but that would where I'd put risk 0.25% on my account. And then what I'm doing is I'm waiting for price to come up and test and reject that level, and if I then get a rejection like a 4-hour wick into this level or a bearish engulfing candle or something, then I'll be looking for another entry, risking another 0.25% of my account. So then in total I'm risking 0.5%. But I've got two separate trades with slightly different entries, and then this one over here would have a slightly different stop loss, because it would then form a new lower high over here, and then my stop loss would just go above that for that one, and the other stop loss would stay up above here. And then I can also then have two separate profit targets. So that's what I'd be looking at. But now, because of the end of month balancing, things like that, I'm taking off my trade that I've got set in here already, but I am just going to be just watching this level for a reaction. But yeah, I did have this trading during the week, and I thought the price might come up and test that and reject, and you see here how yesterday it just fell a little bit short. Didn't quite come up into this level, so it might not come up into this level, or it could even come up and blast straight through, and in that circumstance I would have risked and lost maybe 0.25% of my account. But I'm willing to risk that to find out, because the potential of coming right down here and testing these old highs is a lot bigger than the amount I'm risking. So I'm willing to do that and to see what happens. But at the moment I'm taking that trade off, and I'm just going to wait and see what happens when price comes into this 133.10 and see if we get some sort of rejection. Okay, so I just thought I'd share those levels with you. If you are not part of our Telegram channel, then make sure to go and subscribe there now, because there's going to be lots of useful content coming up over the coming days and weeks. And I hope you have a great day and a great weekend ahead, and I'll catch you again soon. Thank you very much.